This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
We've got a battle of former NFC West quarterbacks going on tonight. We got Jimmy Garoppolo heading to Detroit to take on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions in a game that I think is going to be pretty fun for tonight. Hopefully not close for my purposes, but hopefully high scoring is what I need for today. We're going to break down Raiders at Lions for today, break down our thoughts on the available markets over FanDuel Sportsbook by talking to Ryan Williams and picking his brain on Monday night. This is Covering the Spread right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network and FanDuel Research. My name is Jim Saunas. I am a managing editor of digital media for FanDuel Research, joined here as I am every Monday by Ryan Williams. Check him out on Twitter at RyanAlexander_W. Ryan, it is Halloween weekend. How you doing today?
Oh, Halloween weekend. You're going to throw that out there? It could be very scary into the weekend here. I just had to watch our local team, the Bears, on primetime. I can't believe they have many more primetime games to go before the season is wrapped up. Please bring Justin Fields back. Hilarious to me that people thought Tyson Bagent was the answer. Winning over the Raiders team, who we're going to talk about tonight. So yeah, Raiders Lions. This should be an interesting one, but yeah, we're feeling good. We're feeling good, Jim.
My question to you is, how persuasive is Matt Eberflus that he was able to persuade like Chris Collinsworth that like Tyson Bagent was like someone that Justin Fields should be watching? Like Chris Collinsworth, I respect a lot as an analyst. I think he does a really good job of being like grounded. He can be critical and stuff like that. But like the praise of Tyson Bagent last night felt very odd to me.
Yeah, the praise is, I guess, yeah, there was somebody in his ear telling him that he needs to be saying that in talking to Collinsworth about all the things that Bagent does well that Fields could learn from, which I just found absolutely hilarious. But yeah, whatever Eberflus needs to do to kind of, rest easy at night and make sure that he's still employed come 2024. I don't blame him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to break down this Lions and Raiders game. I will say I'm very nervous because I do like the Lions here, and every team I like this week had their quarterback get hurt. So I don't want to hurt my son, Jared Goff. I'm very uncomfy about this. We're going to talk through that, talk through my fears, whether they're rational or not, break down the total in this game and get you ready by talking about some props as well. But first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to Covering the Spread. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We appreciate those of you who have done so already. Don't forget, video versions of the show are also up on the FanDuel YouTube page and over on FanDuel TV Plus. Later on this week, a Breeders' Cup preview with Christina Blacker of FanDuel TV. We had her on during the Triple Crown season, so you've already heard her here. She did a good job back then. Excited to get her back on the show for tomorrow. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, totals, and more. So visit FanDuel.com and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana, visit mdgamblinghealth.org in Maryland, 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's dig in now to the Raiders at the Lions. We're right now at FanDuel Sportsbook. The Lions are 7.5-point favorites, and the total in this game is up to 46.5. That's a point from where it was yesterday, 2 points up from where it was back on Tuesday. Now, Ryan, this is a pretty hefty spread. The week after the Lions got destroyed by the Ravens, but I did still lay the points here at 7.5 myself. Also had them in a teaser with the Chargers. So I'm in on the Lions despite a hefty spread here. What's your read on that aspect of this game?
Yeah, it's just a tough number, Jim. I feel like. So, and the public money is coming in, like it's honestly insane. Like, we're close to, I was just looking at it, 87% of the bets are on the Lions right now. 91% of the money is on the Lions. I don't remember the last time I've seen numbers like this. Now, granted, this can start, to come down. We got a lot of questionable. We got a lot of players who are questionable in this game. It is the Raiders. They have not looked great. But Jimmy Garoppolo being back in the mix, I think, does help some things. We got a lot of, narratives that are starting to brew themselves here. With Josh Jacobs potentially going to be getting going, and Devontae Adams, I still feel like has the squeaky wheel narrative going in his favor. And, Jacoby Myers, like, they have pieces on the side to be able to keep up. It's also in Detroit, which the games in Detroit have, gone exponentially over the total in the Jared Goff era. So, we're looking at under 47 on the total. Like, this is a slam dunk play for me on the over. I get it's an island game. I get where, the passing and scoring is down, or I shouldn't say the passing, but scoring is down in the league, year over year. And that's been one of the narratives. But at 46.5, like, this is just way too low for me when we're expecting, most of the pieces in the offense to be playing outside of the ones that we already know about heading into the weekend. So I'm probably leaning Vegas 7.5 and the over at 46.5. If you had to tell me to pick one, it's going to be the total. But yeah, I think the Raiders do try everything that they can to keep involved in this game, and hopefully their defense shows up.
So I did mention I need points too, and that is in part because I do think I agree with you where this Vegas offense with Garoppolo healthy has been fine. Like, they haven't been great, but they've been fine. And if you give me a fine offense against a Lions team that should put up, I would think, a good number of points in the spot, I do show value in the over. My total model has been betting a lot of unders this year, but I've got this number of 49.9, which is pretty high, not going to lie, to have it up at 49.9, but it gets there because it's a larger spread, which means it implies there are more points scored in this game. I have the spread as being larger on my end than what the books have it at. So, like, those things combined into being indoors, two good offenses, one pretty bad defense in the Raiders side of things, that adds up to me liking the over. So, yeah, it's gone up 2 points, and you would rather have had a 44.5. So, like, hopefully you got it then. But if you are just looking at this game now, I do still think there's value in the over, despite the fact that number has gone up. So 46.5 right now, minus 115. If you want the Raiders side, the plus 7.5 is minus 112. The Lions minus 7.5 is minus 108 right now over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Now, you alluded to some potential absences here for the Lions. Let's go through those right now, because we know David Montgomery will not play. Frank Ragnow is doubtful. Their center. They've got some other injuries along the interior of the offensive line, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is questionable with an illness. Now, with the Amon-Ra thing, I'm questioning if that's related to the Bijan Robinson thing, because we saw Michael Thomas get added to the injury report with an illness this week. Patrick Mahomes was added, and it seems like teams got the memo of, hey, if these guys are sick, add them to be safe. But Amon-Ra is also questionable. So, like, I haven't seen the updates on him yet as of today, as far as what his status is. There are no props up for him at FanDuel Sportsbook, and that does limit the overall menu. But what's your read on the Lions props, given that they do have some injuries and Amon-Ra St. Brown is up in the air? What are you seeing there right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold for now. I think Amon-Ra's playing. Like I just the way that the weekend went and the way that these guys will listen. Now, how sick, quote unquote, is he and things of that nature? I guess we'll wait to find out. I mean, that's kind of the narrative of the game, because he changes the whole outlook of this passing attack and who we want to get exposure to. Now, I will say the guy who is probably least affected by that is Sam Laporta. And I actually kind of really do like this matchup, even though it won't jump out on the paper. But like, we can put the rookie tight ends can't come in and play right away narrative to rest, thanks to Sam Laporta, because he's been absolutely amazing. His reception prop at over 4.5 plus 126. Let's just lock that in now, because that is, I won't say lock, but that is a nice bet to have should Amon-Ra be out. It's a decent bet to have if Amon-Ra is in. And I see you have the alt reception props up there. Like it's just a great matchup for him to be able to eat against this defense across the middle of the field. So love getting some action on Sam Laporta. Now, the other guy who would be interesting too would be Josh Reynolds. I mean, Josh Reynolds has definitely carried over the relationship when they were at the Rams with Jared Goff to have something there. It does pain me to, look at my Jameson Williams teams and think about, what could be if he gets a shot. But, Josh Reynolds has definitely been involved. And I would be interested in getting some props on him, but probably more so right away when Amon-Ra news, come. Like if there's any inclination that we get early, I would just have the sportsbook up, refresh, and just try and lock them in. Then I don't hate his numbers now, but I just think it's more of a slam dunk when he's in, because I just feel like Amon-Ra, whatever his numbers come in at, I'm going to take. He's just going to be so much of a catalyst of this offense. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs is the one, and I know we're kind of talking about the passing game, but Jahmyr Gibbs is just so interesting to me in this game, just with like the output that he's been seeing with David Montgomery being out. And really, I think last week carried around 87% of the workload out of the backfield. They really have been trying to get him going. Rushing and receiving prop coming in at 99.5.
I swore this morning when I saw the number, I was like, oh, like I like audibly cussed when I saw how big that number was for Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's unbelievable. And it's like, I don't even, is it right? Yeah, probably. I mean, especially like if there's no Amon-Ra, like, yeah, but like, then you're talking about, okay, like that's probably where I would have it without the guy being in officially. Right. What's it going to change to when Amon-Ra if he is ruled out? It's just that's probably a stay away from me. But I would like to get some action, maybe in his reception total, which comes in at, it's only 3.5 at minus 150. But I think if you go to his alt, where did I have him here? Yes, his alt receptions there. If you start to get at 5 or more, then we're getting into plus money there. And I think that makes some sense, the way that the Raiders defense tries to get pressure. So I would definitely look at that market before I looked at the rushing and receiving prop there. But yeah, what are you seeing on the Lions side, Gemma?
Yeah, the Jahmyr Gibbs one, like I think I would heavily consider an under on either the rushing or the rushing plus receiving, probably more so the rushing, honestly, because they're missing their center. I could see them being a bit pass heavy in general in this game anyway, given there's no Montgomery. So I think that if I were looking at Gibbs, I'd be looking at the under on the rushing yards at 71.5. Now, I don't think that's my favorite one. I think I want to go to the Josh Reynolds one that you were talking about. Now, Reynolds has been hitting over 35.5. He's hit it in every game except for one so far this year. But you have to remember that like Amon-Ra missed a game. Jameson Williams was not playing earlier on this year either. So that is tainted. But if you look at the games since Williams came off a suspension and with Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's had 76 yards and 43 yards. And that's heavily dependent on efficiency. So like, that's why this number is lower, is because it's been very efficient. But like, again, if Amon-Ra St. Brown is not 100% healthy, it's a good matchup for them. Their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, said this week that Jameson Williams is not there yet, and is still trying to work up full knowledge of this offense. Like, why would you not consider Josh Reynolds at 35 and a half? Over is -113. I think you'd also consider pairing that with the Jameson Williams under at 24 and a half. The problem is he could double that in one play. So I think if you're looking for an under on Jameson Williams, I'd be looking more at the reception prop, which is not currently up, probably will be up later on. But I would look at the reception number prop for Williams and look at an under there. But for Josh Reynolds, I think over 2.5 receptions is -106. That's also pretty enticing. Again, given that there's uncertainty around Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think that you, Ryan, were on the right page there. Honestly, both with Reynolds and Laporta. I prefer Reynolds, but I think both those guys are very, very interesting, whether Amon-Ra St. Brown plays or not.
Yeah, definitely. Even just looking at the outlook, Jim, the passing outlook is just one that I'm really excited about.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the Raiders side of things, because they do have Jimmy Garoppolo back, and despite his flaws, he's been efficient, and he's pushed a ton of work to Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers so far this year. So anything stand out for the Raiders for you right now, Ryan?
Yeah, I think I wish the number was better, but I will have some action on Jacoby Myers at an anytime touchdown. The way he's just been utilized in the red zone on this team, and plus 200. I think it was close to 3-1 when we were looking at this going into the Sunday slate last week. And I mean, rightfully so, like with Garoppolo being back, that just gives more propensity to a lot of these guys. Josh Jacobs is interesting too, even though it's a 1-to-1 there at plus 100, but he, as not been able to find the red zone or not been able to find the end zone in favorable matchups there. So I still like getting action to Josh Jacobs. And actually, on his reception prop coming in at 3.5 only, -115, like I think there's some merit there. Josh Jacobs has been, I don't know what's happened in this new look offense with them, but this is not a guy who we thought about years before about catching passes out the backfield because they never threw to him. And now all of a sudden McDaniels and company have found a way to, get him involved, and he's out there making plays with his hands. So I do think his reception prop is interesting. And then it comes down to what you're doing with Devontae Adams. I don't think, any of these numbers, if you want to take them, I can't blame you. It's going to be part of the squeaky wheel narrative. Can they get going again? I expect points to be scored. So rightfully so. But to me, it starts with Jacoby Myers. I like the 59.5 number, like the anytime touchdown, and like getting Josh Jacob props. Now, the one that's interesting, Jim, is Michael Mayer. And this is, a battle of the rookie tight ends. And, can we get Michael Mayer to show out? Now, his reception prop is only at 2.5, -104. I think there's some interesting merit there. Also, his yards at 21.5. This Lions team, has given up decent numbers on the season to tight ends all year. And so to think about Michael Mayer getting going, you also love that his numbers, just when it comes to the ability of what he saw in the field. And I was looking at that. So like when you're looking at, he had only topped out around 51% over the first four games of the season when we're talking about snaps. And then you're seeing it, 66, 81, 71%. So more so on the field. Let's get him going, get more points going here. I like his outlook for this week. And
the 71% for Mayer last week was because they pulled starters, because your Bears were just destroying them. So they pulled starters, and he was out there pretty much every snap before that. So Mayer was very much involved there. And I think that does make him interesting. I prefer the Myers one. I should clarify, Jacoby Myers, because Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers, the Michael Meyer narrative around Halloween might work, but I'll go Jacoby.
Oh my gosh, here we go. I love it.
Because these are Myers receiving yardage totals in games that Garoppolo has started, not finished. He's just started them. It's an 81, 85, 75, 61. So he's been above 59.5 in all four, and Garoppolo did not finish that Patriots game where he finished 61. His target totals in those games are 10, 12, 10, and 7. They get to play indoors again, as they do at home as well. So I think that's a bonus for him. So I feel like we're kind of just not catching on fast enough to how good Jacoby Myers' role is within this offense. So his receiving yardage number is 59.5. Receptions total is 4.5 minus 146. But if we look at the alternate market here with Jacoby Myers, I don't look at the receiving yardage more so than the receptions. There's not enough there. I was kind of hoping to get a better number on 70 plus, but they were wise to my games. So I think that the baseline number 59.5 at minus 113 is probably the better way to go here. But just in general, Myers is a guy, and the 2-1 touchdown bet also is very intriguing to me.
Yeah. I do think that that does have some merit to it. I wish there were some more, interesting props when you have. That's what happens when you have concentrated offenses and you kind of know where things are going. The book's able to set more favorable lines on what's to be expected. We talk about how much I love the tight ends, Jim, and if we do get into a situation where the Raiders are starting with the ball, Michael Mayer to score the first touchdown. Plus 2,500, 25-1. I might dabble on that. Just take a shot here. With Sam Laporta being 9-1 on the inverse of that. So that could be an interesting one I get behind.
25 is not bad. He's almost the same odds as Jared Goff at 30-1 at the Lions defense at 35. That's a good one. I like that as well. So Michael Mayer, 25-1, anytime touchdown, or first touchdown score. Michael Mayer, anytime touchdown is 4-1. That's not bad either, honestly. Given his involvement, given that we do expect some points in this game. So I don't think that's terrible personally. I don't see a lot of value in the Lions side of things for touchdown props, Ryan. Like Josh Reynolds is plus 145. That's a pretty obvious stay away from me at that number. Laporta's plus 165. I don't see a lot of value in the Lions side. As far as touchdown props go, I think the Michael Mayer 25-1 first touchdown or the Myers 2-1 anytime touchdown are probably the two I like most. And you've already highlighted both those. Anything else you like as far as other props for this game?
Yeah. I think we've talked a couple times just about the primetime island game, how that's been going with quarterbacks throwing interceptions at a high rate. And so when we're looking at Jared Goff here, it is at home, but plus 130 for Goff to throw an interception. And this is not a Raiders team that turns the ball over on offenses very often. But if they can get pressure and, make him, especially if we're getting him without Amon-Ra out there, and then it's, changing up the game plan last minute for them. It's just one that I like to have some action on and dabble with, because the interceptions on these primetime games have been absolutely, just ridiculous. And so getting plus money there still, let's keep that ship going.
Okay, plus 130 for Jared Goff to throw a pick for tonight. I think that's a very good number to get for you, Ryan. I am not opposed to that one either. That is all that we have here for today for this Monday Night Football preview. Ryan is not with us for tomorrow, as again we have our Breeders' Cup preview. But Ryan, appreciate you swinging by for today as always. Enjoy Monday night. We'll talk to you once again next week.
Sounds good, Jim.
All right, you can find Ryan on Twitter at RyanAlexander_W. I am on Twitter at Jim Sannes, JimSannes. Want to thank you all for tuning in. Good luck to you with your bets for tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow to talk some Breeders' Cup, and I'll give a first look at NFL Week number 9. This has been Covering the Spread right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network.